Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. As I know Professor Wright can attest, yesterday was a watershed moment in Alberta. Yesterday, Premier Jason Kenney and TransCanada Pipeline officially announced that they were ceasing all plans for the Keystone XL pipeline, which will mean a loss to Alberta taxpayers of about $1.3 billion minimum. On the same day, Premier Kenney, Minister Champagne, and Minister O'Regan signed a memorandum of understanding with a company called Air Power to build a $1.3 billion blue hydrogen plant in Edmonton. I'm sure it's a coincidence that the $1.3 billion of the loss and the $1.3 billion of the investment are precisely the same number. But I think it was a powerful symbol of a change in economic direction. Now, my question is for Mr. Henry. That kind of investment decision to build a $1.3 billion hydrogen plant is predicated on an understanding that this is the direction in which our governments wish to go, and that there's going to be enough economic certainty to justify a $1.3 billion investment in new tech like blue hydrogen. So I'm wondering if you can tell me if you think that C-12 provides enough clarity and enough assurance and enough of a guarantee for investors and venture capitalists and entrepreneurs to think, okay, we are now shifting. We are moving to a new economic paradigm. Does this give you enough assurance that this is the way that money is going to go?
Go ahead, Mr. Henry.
Senator Simons, thanks so much for the question. It's a complicated, and it is a really good question, and the answer I think is somewhat complicated. I think that this is I'd echo the comments of the other panelists that I think this is a good step. I think it's a good step in sort of ensuring that transparency. But I also think the way that this bill is constructed, I'm not sure if it provides the policy certainty at this point that the rest of the investment community is going to be looking for. And I think a lot of this is going to come down to how those sectoral decarbonization strategies are defined, how they're understood, and the extent to which they're able to align with federal policy. So, right off the top, I think the investment in hydrogen is a really good example, simply because I think there's a number of pieces that need to come together there. I think that you'll be looking for, a lot of the investors are going to be looking around for some stability in terms of the incremental increase of carbon pricing, but there won't be a radical shift in that regime. But in addition, although there are opportunities for green hydrogen, much of Canada's capacity rests in blue hydrogen, which means that there has to be some sort of large-scale deployment of carbon capture and storage. And again, the certainty on that comes down to whether there are offset creation opportunities, whether there's certainty again around the carbon prices, and whether sort of current federal measures to incent that kind of technology are going to remain in play. And so I think that this is part of the challenge with this bill, is that I think it's an important step, and it's important, and it's an accountability, but we are still dealing with a basket of technologies that are going to need to be developed. Some of them are very nascent to actually meet some of these targets. And that's where there's still, I think, broader concerns on investor confidence that would need to be attended to.